At 8:06 on a rainy Monday morning, my CEO looked at his watch and smiled. "Michael, you're 6 minutes late. That's a $500 penalty, or you can clean out your office." 6 hours earlier, I had closed the largest contract in our company's 47-year history. For a moment, I thought Ethan Brooks was joking. I had spent the entire night negotiating a 5-year, $240 million agreement with Liberty Aerospace. The final approval came through at 4:02 a.m. I slept for 90 minutes, got trapped behind a highway accident, and still called my assistant at 7:54 to explain. But Ethan wasn't joking. The lobby was full. Sales managers held coffee cups. Engineers waited near the elevators. Younger employees stared at the floor. "Results don't exempt anyone from policy," Ethan said. "My name is Michael Carter. I was 59 years old, Senior Vice President of Business Development, and I had worked at Titan Industrial Solutions in Dallas for 35 years. That morning, 35 years of loyalty became worth less than 6 minutes. I unclipped my badge and placed it on the reception counter. "I understand perfectly," I said. Then I walked upstairs and packed my career into one cardboard box. What Ethan did not understand was simple. Titan owned the contract. I owned the trust behind it. I joined Titan in 1991 with a borrowed suit and a used Ford pickup. I was never the loudest salesman. I simply returned calls, admitted mistakes, and remembered that customers were people before they were accounts. Over the years, those habits built relationships no software could reproduce. I missed birthdays for emergencies. I answered calls during Thanksgiving dinner. My wife Janet called Titan my second marriage, and she was only half joking. The Liberty Aerospace deal had taken 6 months. Every delivery date, warranty clause, and engineering condition had been challenged. Titan was not the cheapest bidder or the fastest, but Liberty trusted me. On the final Sunday night, someone suggested delaying the vote. I leaned toward the camera. "If this were your company, would you choose the lowest bidder or the partner who answered every call for 6 months?" 20 minutes later, Liberty approved the agreement. Our CFO told me I had made company history. 4 hours later, Ethan made me choose between humiliation and my badge. I chose the badge. The first week without Titan was harder than I expected. Every morning I woke at 6, shaved, poured coffee, and remembered there was nowhere to go. Losing the salary worried me. Losing the routine hollowed me out. At 59, recruiters praised my experience and rejected my age without saying the word. One hiring manager asked where I saw myself in 5 years. "Hopefully enjoying retirement," I said. The interview ended 10 minutes later. We cancelled an Alaska cruise. I sold a Harley I had restored for 15 years. Every sensible decision felt like another piece of my old life disappearing. Then Ethan appeared on television, standing in front of Titan's logo. "Our team's dedication made the Liberty Aerospace partnership possible," he said. He never mentioned me. 3 days later, Sarah Whitmore, Liberty's chief procurement officer, called. "I heard you left Titan." "I didn't exactly leave." She was silent, then asked, "Do you know why Liberty signed? Because Titan had the best proposal?" "No. We signed because you answered every call." Then she said the sentence that changed my life. "Michael, Titan has a contract. You have the relationship." The next morning, I cleaned out my garage. I bought a folding desk online, found a used chair, and placed an old filing cabinet against the wall. My daughter built me a website that looked terrible, but it carried my name. Michael Carter Consulting. The first 3 weeks produced no clients and no income. This was a mistake, I told Janet. She reminded me that Liberty had taken 6 months to trust me. Why should strangers trust your new company in 3 weeks? So I kept going. My first client was Frank Delgado, who owned a hydraulic valve company in Oklahoma. "Why hire me?" I asked. "Because I know where you'll be if I call on Saturday." That became my first invoice. Then another client came. Then another. Nothing dramatic, just trust, rebuilt one phone call at a time. Meanwhile, Titan began removing senior employees. 5 department heads over 55 were pushed out or pressured to resign. Their replacements were cheaper, younger, and handed PowerPoint files instead of mentors. Titan was saving money on paper. In reality, it was selling its memory. 4 months after I left, my former assistant Rachel began calling every Friday. "The executive floor feels different," she said. "Nobody talks anymore." A former intern named Tyler called next. Titan had hired him full-time, but 3 senior account managers had disappeared. "Who's training you?" I asked. "PowerPoint." I laughed harder than I should have. Then he told me a customer had asked how long Titan had supplied his family's company. Tyler searched the database. I knew the answer without looking. I had known the customer's father. That was the problem. Titan still had records, but it no longer had memory. Sarah called again. Implementation deadlines were slipping. Questions went unanswered. The 4 younger managers assigned to replace me understood the contract, but not Liberty. They know the paperwork, she said. They don't know us. Soon after, Titan's stock began falling. The board finally started asking who had actually built the company's largest relationships. 6 months after Ethan fired me, the board called. They wanted the truth. I returned to Titan as a visitor. The building looked the same, but it felt cautious. Employees spoke quietly. People who recognized me either nodded or looked away. Inside the boardroom, 12 directors waited. I brought phone records, emails, contract revisions, meeting transcripts, and Sarah's message sent at 4:19 a.m. after the Liberty Agreement was approved. For 1 hour, I answered questions. No anger, no exaggeration. Then the chairman asked Titan's head of human resources whether the company had an official $500 penalty for late executives. No, she said. Did it ever? No. Ethan had invented an accountability program without board approval, legal review, or written policy. The chairman asked whether Ethan had authority to terminate me without notifying the board. Again, the answer was no. Then a screen at the end of the room lit up. Sarah appeared by video from Phoenix. Why did Liberty choose Titan? The chairman asked. Sarah did not hesitate. We chose Michael Carter. The room went still. Since Michael left, she continued, we have lost confidence. We are reviewing every remaining phase of the agreement. That was when Ethan's version of the story collapsed. The board asked whether I would return to Titan. I thanked them and declined. I have already found a place where my work is valued. The chairman nodded. I was hoping you'd say that. They asked me to wait in the next room. 40 minutes later, they called me back. Ethan Brooks had been terminated, effective immediately, for unauthorized personnel actions, misrepresentations to the board, and failure of executive leadership. As I left, I passed him in the parking garage. He carried a cardboard box. For once, he had nothing to say. Neither did I. 1 year later, Michael Carter Consulting had 7 employees and a modest office in Richardson. Rachel joined us. So did Tyler. Tom Reynolds, Titan's retired operations chief, worked 2 days a week because retirement was too quiet. Every Monday we met over coffee and breakfast tacos. No slogans, no fear. We discussed clients, problems, and who needed help. One rainy morning, Tyler arrived 15 minutes late, pale and embarrassed. I overslept. I know I should be punished. Did you eat breakfast? I asked. He blinked. No. I handed him $20. Go get a sandwich. But I'm late. You've been early almost every day for 6 months. Today isn't your character. It's just your morning. The office went quiet. That moment mattered more than the Liberty contract. Policies can measure minutes. Leadership measures people. Late one Friday, Ethan appeared at my office. He looked tired. No expensive watch, no polished confidence. I owe you an apology, he said. I thought leadership meant never making exceptions. I confused discipline with respect. He admitted he had hurt people. I did not excuse what he had done, but I shook his hand. Not because the past had disappeared, because I no longer wanted to carry it. After he left, Tyler asked whether the apology helped. It helped him, I said. And you? I looked around the company we had built. I stopped needing revenge a long time ago. A few weeks before Christmas, Sarah sent me a handwritten card. Trust is not built during negotiations, she wrote. It is built in the ordinary moments that come long before the contract is signed. That note meant more than any title I had ever held. The greatest victory was not watching Ethan lose his job. It was not proving the board wrong or building a successful firm. It was realizing my value had never lived in a badge, an office, or a business card. It lived in how I treated people. A company can remove your name from a directory in minutes. It can take your title, your office, and your routine. But it cannot take the reputation you built one honest decision at a time. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been treated as replaceable by people who only understood your value after you left? Share your story in the comments. Subscribe for more stories about betrayal, justice, and quiet comebacks. This story is presented for entertainment, and names and identifying details may be fictionalized.